Welcome to the MaxBet podcast, a podcast dedicated to everything gaming. I'm Landon Jones, here with Mike McKiskey. Let's get started. Welcome back to the MaxBet podcast. We have an exciting episode for you today, and we're coming back on a high from Grayton Casino. Mike McKiskey, how are you, sir?
I'm good, buddy. I'm buzzing. Between Grayton and my weekend spent watching Sing 2 animated kids movie, fired up.
Dude, cartoons are fun. They're
great,
awesome,
man.
bro. You get in, you're like, I shouldn't
them.
like this, but there's always like little hints of adult things in them.
Yes.
To keep the parents engaged.
Yes. And I am the prime parent audience for the kids movies because I enjoy most of them.
Yeah.
Some of them not so much, but this one was fun. So, Mama
did you
needed
like
to go.
Shrek? Because that's who you remind me most. Just
Donkey.
Donkey.
Yeah,
I'm probably your donkey.
Shrek was good, right? Shrek was good. It's weird. I liked it. It's not one I've seen a ton. Like the kids aren't into that one. But yeah, we went full Sing 2. Like watched it 6 times this weekend. So like our house, you get one, you got to rewatch it every time. So
Yeah.
that's fun.
Okay.
But that was not nearly as fun as PJ's and MaxBet's.
What is a
Epic Rating.
PJ for those that...
Oh, the private jet.
Yeah. Not our life, by the way.
No, I wish it was.
It was
This is like a special thing we just got to do kind of randomly. But
Hold on, no, I got to explain.
Go for it, yeah.
So Mike, before we took this trip, he was always like, I don't care about private jet. I'm not that guy. I don't need all that. As soon as he sat his ass in that chair on the private jet, he's like,
I feel home.
I could get used to this.
Well, of course you could
I
get
see
used
why
to it.
people do this.
I mean, okay, right? So like first time doing it, right? But they drive you right to it. There is no security.
Yeah.
I don't know what you said to them in the email to like register us all, but they don't pat you down. They don't even give you the side eye. They just let your driver go, okay, but just climb aboard, bud.
Yeah.
Okay. I guess their theory is like it's your plane, do what you want, right? But like, so that was interesting. But it was cool. So it was a company called Private Jet Service, PJS. Like that was fun, right? So we did that, and then I don't know anything about planes, obviously, but like that was really comfortable.
That was a really nice jet.
The thing I didn't account for with that was the takeoff, right? So when you get in a rhythm as like a frequent Southwest traveler, like I normally am, they go, okay, bing bong, everyone take your seat, right? They do the whole thing, and then they go, we're about to take off now, and then the captain gets on, and goes, okay, we're up for landing. Please hold on to your hats, right? This guy doesn't say anything. There's no announcement. The lady could care less whether our seatbelts were on or not.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, it's just gas pedal to the moon, and I was like, I
It's
almost went rolling down the
faster
aisle
than
because
a
I don't even know that I
commercial.
was buckled in. Yeah, it was nuts. So it was like,
It just
this is a little
pulls you
different.
back into your seat, and then you're in the air, and you're going up at a 90-degree
I was like, we're gonna do barrel rolls here for our next trick. That was wild. But
Yeah, she did say one thing. She's like, hold on to the glasses. And everybody's like, what? All of a sudden you had 45 glasses going
champagne
down.
just rolling down the aisle. You're like, oh, that's what you meant.
So we just finished the Grayton Film Project, and we shot this whole event because we're creating a document. It's like a reality documentary series about influencers in the gaming space. So what we did is we took 7 of the largest gamblers in YouTube, we'll call it, in the U.S., all in their own respects. So Kelly for tables, Andrew and Jeremy, Big Cats, Slot Massacre for poker.
Yep. Video poker.
NG Slots for slots, The Big Payback, Tim,
Mr. Mike.
and Mr. Mike, and then also the last one would be NJ Slots.
Oh yeah, NJ. How could I forget him? I spent more time
John.
with him. Johnny boy.
And so we took them on this over-the-top trip. We got a jet. We hired an entire film crew, director, producer, camera 1, camera 2, audio 1, the whole works. And we filmed their lives in the wild, we'll call it. And Grayton was nice enough to support the project, and they saw the vision. And then we did an interview with each influencer, just talking to them about their lives. Like, what is it like? Does it hurt if you lose $100,000? We really dug in deep to learn about these characters and what their lives are like being influencer gamblers in the gaming space. And we documented the whole thing over the weekend. We got all our shots, got back on the jet, and here we are talking to you guys.
Here we are. Yeah, it's nuts. I think the thing that, like, for me stood out was how much it was like Beatlemania at one point. So we told everybody, we said, hey, we're doing a meet and greet. What was it, Tuesday night, right? And we're going to do this thing. And it was funny because we arrive. And so you get the normal amount of people, I think, watching you anytime you have 5 guys with cameras following you around. People are like, well, what is that? Like, you get to look at this. But I don't think anyone really knew what we were doing. And then we go to quick shower, dinner. We emerged from dinner. And it was like the word had gotten out that all the influencers were in the steakhouse.
Was packed.
It was just like, dude, I quickly transitioned from like guy that was just hanging out to security for all the guys. I was like, yo, like, whoa, we got to control this. Like hundreds of people.
Yeah.
I mean, it was awesome. So Chairman Greg, I can't remember, Saris, I think is how you say his last name. So he was the chairman of the play. He was just laughing. He goes, yeah, I thought maybe there'd be like 20 people come and meet these guys. He goes, you had like 500.
He couldn't have been more excited.
Oh, it was fun.
What
He
a
was
great guy.
awesome. What a stud. Yeah, his whole team, the team at Creighton's great. But it was just like, wow. Like you start to see it. And then we did the debut. Same night, we did the debut for Double Money Link with Site Games, which was crazy. I mean, I've never been in a world where like 100 people are shouting, you know, hit the button, or shouting NG or Mr. Mike or shouting out the show. It was crazy, man.
Well, I mean, yeah. And just looking at what that whole project, I mean, so many people were involved, from Light and Wonder, from IGT to Blueberry to Creighton. I mean, over 100 people were involved in making this happen. And Mike and I came up with the concept in like November, and we pulled it off because of all the people that helped support us.
You can't do anything alone.
You can't do anything alone, but we're excited to show you guys this film, and now we got to edit it, which we're working on now. But get ready, because it's super interesting. It's very interesting to hear like their actual stories, because we kind of like celebritize some of these influencers, or their subs at least celebritize them. And it's a hard industry, man. You look at any other industry that's an influencer industry, and people spend just their time making a video. They put the content out, they get paid for the content. You know, you do a BMW commercial, BMW sends you the BMW, you make a film, put the content on, you get paid.
Yeah.
These guys are spending their own cash to create content.
Oh, it's nuts.
It's insane. And so,
well, and then here's the hard part. Like you go, hey, well, like we just ask generally, try to be helpful. What could we do to help you? Well, could you get us permission to film? That's all you need. You're like, we could try. And so it's like just trying to change their perspective, because here's the reality. I mean, we were up at Creighton, and they hadn't done it historically, like letting people film. They did it for this. And I mean, the response proved that people engage with these channels and do as they do. I mean, we played Double Money Link and Reels of Steel that first night, and the rest of the night, those games were full. And then the next day, they were playing Prosperity Link from IGT, and I think what was a Skunks game. And then the rest of the day, those games are full. So clearly people are watching going, I want to play what they play. I want to do that, right? And so so to then give them the stiff arm at the door and go, well, we don't want your iPhone in here. It's like, why? Like all they're doing is helping you, right? So like
that too, when you're playing security and you're like, oh, where are you from? It's like, oh, I drove here from Ohio.
Yeah.
You drove here from Ohio?
Flew in from Cleveland. It's like, what? Like, how did you? Okay. Like, we've just never been able to meet these guys. Because like what they'll do is they know they're going to go live, you know, or they'll see it, but they have a day's notice. When you give a little advertising, it's crazy. So
anyway, that's our little pitch and intro, hype deck on our Creighton film project. If you guys have any names that you think we should call it, please comment below, because we're really struggling to come up with a name for it. The film should be done and edited within a month and a half to 2 months. So once we get kind of closer to that date, we'll let you guys know. When we're going back up north
for a premiere at the property. But yeah, we'll see it. And so, but speaking of celebrities,
boom,
who we have today?
If I don't want to mess his last name, Tim Menard.
Tim Menard. Yep.
Yeah, Tim Menard.
Says like it sounds.
Yeah, Tim Menard.
I guess it sounds like it looks.
And he is the CEO of Eclipse Gaming.
Yep.
And what a cool guy. Like, I didn't know Eclipse very well. And so you're like, small
investor,
company. We all
Eclipse
know.
Guy. Yeah.
I told him this. I said, we all know small companies. Like, it's a tough business, this vendor business, being in the slot space. So I'm like, you kind of just write it off. You're like, that's going to be a tough But then when you meet him, you're like, oh, he's got a vision. And he's building a great team. And now I'm like rooting for him, man.
Yeah,
Just a cool dude with a cool vision. And what a cool conversation we had with him. And so we're excited to share that interview with you today.
Yeah, no, it seems like good culture, because like we got connected through Laura Olson Reyes, right, who we worked with at AGS, me before at Bally, and she's like, hey, I'm at Eclipse now. I'm like, you okay? Right? She's like, no, what are you talking about? I'm stoked. Like they're building something and she sees the magic of it. And then all of a sudden you talk to me, oh, I get it. Right. So like, it's fun. It was a cool guy to meet. You know, we got to get out to Georgia and see him, you know, more out there. But like, yeah, what a guy, what a chat. So,
well, let's jump into it. It's a longer interview, so give you guys.
So we'll shut up now and you get to it.
Stop talking about. Yeah. Anyways, rock and roll. Thanks for tuning
everybody.
in.
Yep. Check
it. Everyone.
So you guys have been at this for a couple of years. So it's not, the entrepreneurialism is kind of a couple of years old.
Yeah, the podcast has been almost
a different
2 years
level
now. And then we left our jobs at AGS October 1st, so 5 months ago.
Yeah, it's been we call it 5 months. I mean, it's a startup, man. We're going through the weeds. We're learning more than we've ever learned in our lives, and as I'm sure you know as an entrepreneur yourself, it's been a huge learning curve, and it's been like he has his master's degree, and he says he's learned more in 5 months than he has his entire career.
For sure. That's 100%.
Yeah, because I mean, you always start with it being a product. Like everything you're creating here is a product. And, and now you're doing a product, but now you have to be the business people as well.
Yeah.
So you're creating the product and you're the business people, and that's always the difficult thing when you get to the next level, the next level, the next level, the next level.
Correct.
And that's getting the other people involved in this that know their specific expertise, and not having to do it all yourself.
Well, that's what we're hoping for. So I think as we get more success, in the financial area, then it would be like, hey, let's go bring in somebody that can run the business.
Yeah.
Because I think for us, like we're having a good time with content. We're starting to see, well, this can be an engaging way to bring attention to whether it's new slot games or tables or whatever we're doing. But I'm no CFO, right? So it's like you sit back and you go, okay, so I'm the CFO, which should scare everyone, right? And you're going, all right, let's work through it. And that's where you go, let's bring in, as we bulk up, it'll bulk up kind of the core competencies and then let us go run wild.
Yeah, I mean, you guys always have the vision, right?
For sure.
And so the people part of it's going to be the thing that executes it.
Yeah.
And the raise, it's funny because nobody's ever done this before. So
No,
when you try to
that's
go
what's
explain
exciting.
it, they're like, I don't get it. And it's like, you're going to get it, but right now you don't. And it's funny because Amazon, AWS, built our platform. Like, so our website is built on Amazon, even though like Twitch is their parent company. And I don't think we really compete with Twitch. We almost solve a problem for Amazon. But it's been an interesting ride for sure. Learning how to raise money, learning how to build out an office, HR, accounting, social media. I mean, there's so many avenues to like making sure that your business is running in a smooth direction.
Carpentry. I mean, we hung, we do a lot of the work here too. So it's like you just know it, we do it all.
You wear a lot of hats in the beginning,
Yeah.
and then you just differentiate the product from the business side of it and then make sure it's covered.
Yeah.
How'd you get into gaming?
Yeah, let's talk about that.
Let's talk about you.
Talk about me. So it was a journey. I mean, I've been over 30 years entrepreneurial.
Yeah.
So I started in the tech space when tech was not, it was bricks and mortar technology.
Yeah.
So CAD CAM, if you know, like
like the drawing software,
like the drawing software on, back then it was a 386 computer, then a 486 computer. They didn't have a Pentium processor. They didn't have, 16-bit operating systems on PC. So you had big Unix, and then you had VAX machines and stuff like that. So I was a tennis pro. And I was teaching tennis after college. I was teaching tennis, and I'm like, I don't want to do this the rest of my life. And then one of the families I was teaching tennis to was like, you should start a company. I was like, I agree with you.
Yeah, definitely.
Show me the way.
I'm in.
Yes, company.
Exactly.
Start a company. Yeah.
I mean, this $13 an hour is not going to make it for the rest of my life.
Right.
And then, and so it was actually somebody that was involved in a big engineering company, and he was like, I've got an opportunity to become, it was a multi-billion-dollar company that it was the largest CAD CAM software developer in the world.
Yeah.
Was going to create an indirect channel. So go through, start a VAR network. Instead of having all their salespeople do everything, they wanted to kind of parochialize their.
So what's VAR stand for?
Value-added reseller.
Okay, got it.
And so, I mean, I'm a tennis player, so
right.
I'm like, I didn't know what it stood for either. Even when they told me the software I was serving, I looked it up in the library and tried to do it. It was the wrong product.
You're like, I'm normally serving a green ball. I don't know what we're trying to serve over here.
But so it was kind of fascinating, and I knew computers were something, so I was like, I want to do that. And great story was I remember when I went to meet the company that wanted to start the VAR, and he was coming in with me. So I went and rented. I rented a suit, but I actually bought it with the plans to return it after
like,
this.
What $500 rental was this?
Who knows?
With the thought that I could return it after it was over.
Yeah, right.
That's not how it works.
Yeah.
So I was kind of in for the suit, but so we ended up going into business. He kept his job. That's always bad, right? I mean, so my partner kept his job. I had to leave my job.
It's tough.
And, just right into the wolves.
Yeah.
And, it's pretty fascinating. I mean, what I learned was crazy. And, so if you look at the early 90s, that would be 90, 91.
Yep.
And it was all of a sudden the Pentium and those things started coming out. So that becomes like a 16-bit operating system becomes a 32-bit operating system.
Yep.
Right.
So obviously that was lucky on my part.
Yeah. Timing is everything.
But when you look at it, it was interesting learning the dynamics of channel conflict, right? Where you have a large manufacturer that's got thousands of salespeople and they're selling all the GEs and the big companies.
Yeah.
And here I am, just me with I think I had like a Smith Corona
With your
typewriter.
one new suit.
Like I'm typing this stuff. I don't even have a PC.
Right.
And I'm making 40 calls a day trying to get somebody to buy my CAD. And I'm competing against direct salespeople that could take everything down. So it was really tough. Didn't do very well my first year. Didn't know how I was going to make it. But then as the technology advanced, now people could push their VAX and their Unix down to a PC platform with Pentium. So I was just in a great space.
Yeah.
And then when Intergraph continued to try, it was a company called Intergraph. They were the largest CAD CAM producer, did the shuttle, they're in Huntsville at the Space and Rocket Center. But as they adopted a strategy, which took a very, very concerted effort for them to make sure the VARs could make it. And then, so I ended up, they started pushing some product to me, and I just was in the right place at the right time one day.
But you were prepared, right? Like, that's what I talk to Mike all the time. It's like you were, if you hadn't taken that risk and gotten beat down, you would have never been in position to take that opportunity.
Absolutely.
So you earned it.
And you have to just keep, it's resilience, right? Passion, grit, everything else that goes with it. But I'm sitting there, have no idea, but I'm just going to keep making the 40 calls a day. And then I'm going to keep asking questions along the way, because I think that humility along the way where I was nobody. I was just trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
So along the way, there were some clients who'd be like, hey, come here, kid.
Yeah.
I got to tell you something. You're not even talking about the right product. I'm like, I know it.
You're like, see?
I didn't know.
Selling some other program, and then this shows up. You're like, what did you sell me? I don't even know what this is.
You're like, VAR.
Yeah.
You're like, what?
VAR's who you are, not the product. Yeah, exactly.
I'm like, so it was funny because Intergraph said then, hey, now we're going to make it so if you sell our product, you have to have an engineer to support it. I'm like, when I put gas in my car, it doubles the value of my car. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah.
It's like, I can't afford an engineer.
So they were saying you had to go hire an engineer.
So to make the VARs, I'm like, there's no way. I sold maybe $6,000 worth of software at a maybe $2,000 margin for a year.
Yeah.
I thought $13 an hour teaching tennis was a good idea to go back to that for a minute.
Yeah, right. All of a sudden,
But you go through it. I stuck to it. And there was one client that just appreciated my honesty. It was a big client.
Yeah.
And appreciated my honesty. And I sent him a proposal.
Yeah.
And this is a big deal. So imagine one of the, let's say, the top 10 companies in the world at the time.
Yeah.
And I ended up, I just was out of college, not far away, and I was an athlete, and I like to have fun.
Yeah.
So we all went out that night. And we had a blast.
Yeah.
And then I ended up kind of driving us all back, and I didn't do perfect. And that was part of it. And he loved the story.
I'm loving this story.
Keys.
Yeah.
I still had his keys, and but anyway, so he came up. He finds how in big trade shows you got rooms like this, and then you got the big rooms,
Right.
with 250,000 square foot booths, and everything, right?
Huge.
Yeah. And I'm in that room. You have to find me.
Yeah,
I've
right.
got a 10 by 10. That's all I can afford.
Good
with
luck.
couple brochures is laid out.
Folding table. Yeah.
And I don't, not much sleep the night before. And here he comes. And I was like, hey. Yeah. And then he's like, what do you do here? I was like, I sell Intergraph. And he said, I buy Intergraph. I'm like, I know you do.
You're in the right
I know you
As
do.
it turns out, I was hoping you'd
He
say
goes,
that.
I'd like you to bid on my project. I'm thinking, there ain't no way. I mean, I can't even win a $600 upgrade.
Yeah.
And this is going to be a big deal. But anyways, he sends me the bid. I'm certain all the other big companies sent him boxes and boxes of proposals.
Yeah.
I typed that shit up on a Smith Corona. It's like, oh, you want a printer? That's that much money. You want this? That's that much money. And it was very charming. He had me come down. He's like, hey, I think there was a spelling error on your proposal. I'm thinking, could be.
It's entirely possible. Yeah,
it might happen. So I went all the way down there, and he was like, your spelling errors, your prices, they're so high. I'm like, I know it. I'm like, you can buy this stuff cheaper than I can. I said, I should sell for you.
Yeah.
And long story short, I had identified something that was inside of his proposal that
Yeah.
I thought people were cutting corners, but not because I was trying to do anything for myself, because I
Yeah.
ain't getting there. I'm not even close to wherever they were at.
Yeah.
And then he called a couple places, and they were, and that eliminated his warranty. And he was like, can you do 10% above your costs? I'm like, yeah.
I'd love to.
I'd love to.
Oh my God. Yeah.
And he goes, can you support it? I'm like, I don't have to support it. Intergraph supports it. That's all them.
Yeah.
And so it happened. And
Yeah.
it was big news, and it was a big deal. And that was the one deal that launched my career.
Awesome.
And it's interesting as I go through the businesses in my, background,
Yeah.
there's always identifiably one deal that made sense, that I really went after. And it, didn't force it. Didn't matter if it happened or it didn't. It was
Yeah.
probably, you always have to go for the elephants, but you still need to get the little antelopes and everything else
yeah,
that
yeah.
the village
Right.
can eat, right? So you're constantly throwing lines out there. But this one, I landed, and then all of a sudden I'm in play. And then I started my own strategy based on the defaults and some of the things that actually were what I would consider mistakes as a big company sets up an indirect channel,
Yeah.
like having to have an engineer. If you don't have an engineer, you can't support it.
Yeah, right.
You can't sell it. Or volumes discounts, right?
Yep.
So I started this affiliation for other value-added resellers to buy through me.
Yeah.
And so my volumes went up.
Oh,
And
interesting.
they might have an architect, and I had mechanical engineers or mapping, specialists.
Yeah.
So now I can sell their product, and we just affiliated, and that's how we got to be the largest Intergraph dealer in the world. And it's like 94 or whatever, and then I had the opportunity to sell.
From 91 to 94. So that 3-year growth
Yeah.
period.
Sounds
That's
like the
pretty
back half
crazy.
weighted too, right? The front half was all grind.
Well,
I gotta
Again,
ask you though, what was that feeling like, sitting in your small booth, hungover, trying to figure out how you're gonna get gas in your car, from that to just like,
So I had no idea, but it was I'd live. It's kind of a little bit how I live my life, but I mean it was present, right? And so
Yeah.
when he came up to me, I felt bad because I had parked this car and there happened to be a branch underneath this car. That you could pick leaves out of both sides of the car.
Don't worry about that old elk tree that's in your.
And it was like a Cadillac. I never drove a Cadillac before in my life.
your system comes with a new tree.
Yeah.
You win.
And but there's a lot of luck. So it advanced. It advanced, the technology advanced. So I got in a right timing, and there was a lot, but there's a lot to be said about just that stick-to-itiveness and just kind of going after it and then just staying to it. I always say, like, in little companies, they're all leaky boats, right?
Yeah.
I mean, even big companies are leaky boats. They just have bigger staffs to fix it. The mistake, I think, is when you're in shallow water. At least you're in shallow water.
Yeah, right.
Yep.
So you can jump out and just pull a boat back to shore.
Yeah.
The mistake
few
is to
changes,
row in the
yeah.
deep.
Yeah, right.
And does that make sense? I mean, it's kind of
yeah.
like you're going to have issues, especially if you don't have all the staff in the world, and you just have to be able to see through it and stay to it. So I did that, made that sale, and then that sale made a lot of people hear about it because they put it in the newspaper. And,
Yeah.
and when they posted,
guy?
like, here's the winning bids, and it's like that guy. And we're like, who the heck is that guy?
He's the small booth guy.
And then meantime, people are coming all over the world going like, hey, we got to see that guy.
Yeah, now they're calling you.
And I got deal after deal, and it was great. And then I just had the opportunity to exit. And, you know, as a first-time exit, you don't know when's the right time.
Yep.
And also, I mean, there's something to be, you know, about like who you are. If you're a builder, or if you like to sustain or whatever it was.
That's right.
I came from nothing. So, you know, the money that was coming in was crazy.
Yeah.
And I say that with all, you know, humility. It's just, it was more than I ever expected.
It's more than $13 an hour
More
at the
than
tennis club.
$13 an hour. But my friends were still making like that, right?
Yeah.
So there's a lot to be said about that too, right?
It's an interesting dynamic.
Emotionally, you change when you're younger, and that happens.
For sure.
And so I moved on from there. During that time, I got to know a bunch of people in the employer services business.
Yep.
And it was amazing to me during the mid and late 90s how the value of an employee life as a distribution network. It sounds a little inhumane, but it was true. Like if you remember payroll stuffers and Amex and all these companies, there was a lot of value in that. And so I was surprised at it. So I picked my angle on that, invested in that kind of space. And I started growing in, you know, kind of an HR outsourcing company, but I used technology to gain my advantage. And it just happened to be as kind of an adventure. I had found a property in Atlanta, and I thought it would be an adventure with my new wife. And this is right around 2099, and ended up kind of moving there. And we merged with another large HR, and so we were a very large HR outsourcing company at that time. And I was more passive. I was on the board and that kind of stuff. And I just had my daughter, so I wanted to spend time with her.
Yep.
And it was a company called Cadillac Jack.
Have you
Heard of them?
Yeah.
Right?
Them well.
I mean, obviously, it's in the lineage of the AGS company, right? So, and I met, you know, a fascinating guy, Mike Mackey, who was the, you know, founder of it. And you know, it's the antithesis of the HR world, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
for sure.
you go from blue suits and, you know, red ties to jockstrap and a sailor cap. Come on.
Right, exactly.
We had HR here last week. Same outfit. They haven't changed.
Yeah, exactly.
No, it was fascinating, and there was an opportunity to get involved with them. They needed some help, and I wanted to see. I mean, I love business, and my passion is business. And it's helping others in life and in business. That is like a huge thing for me.
Yeah.
And I've been actively serving entrepreneurial at that time for, you know, 10 years. And I wanted to try to learn more about gaming. And at that time, gaming didn't have many losing quarters in 100 years.
Yeah, it was great.
And so I was fascinated by that. So then you know there's a there, you know, there's something there.
Yep.
And so I wanted to learn more about it. And then an opportunity came up where I was able to get involved with them, and it was a blast.
Yeah.
I mean, you talk about...
It's a fun industry.
Well, I mean, it's unbelievable, right?
Yeah.
I mean, but I had no idea, but the amount of work, the lift that they were at, they were a smaller company at the time, right? And what they had to go through, for me, it was a challenge, right? So it looked really fun to try to, you know, do that. Yeah, there's capital raised involved, and as you know, this industry, right? If you're smaller, it's almost an exercise in managing greed, because you can't take every deal, right? Somebody says, you know, in North, you know, I don't want to, you know, some state somewhere where they, you know, they have little earnings, want 100 machines. You're like, okay, I want to place 100 machines, but not at $4 a day.
Yeah, not with a capital loss, right? Your net return is worse. Yeah.
Right. And then it takes capital to place it.
Yeah.
And so it's one of those things where it was fascinating to me. I kind of took on a role on the finance side. I took the CFO role at the time. And, you know, it was a challenge, and, you know, that's what got me into gaming. And then we, you know, continually just did the right things, because there's a lot of principles, I think, whether you're starting a business.
Yeah.
I've never been an inventor, right?
Yeah.
If you look at, I just went to sell Intergraph.
Yeah.
I didn't do anything. I needed to outsell somebody else. and I needed to do it strategically, and I needed to figure out what makes me different and how am I going to do this.
Right.
And so, when you're called a turnaround or whatever, depending on the stage, it's just there's another stage of that business that it has to go through. Some of it's recessing expenses or raising capital or whatever it is, and it's trying to figure that stuff out and having the discipline, and also the management needs to buy in. And if there's an entrepreneur, then they really need to buy in. Yeah. And so that is really not easy to make happen because it's their baby, it's their business, right? Yeah. So that was kind of a new thing for me, but I really enjoyed it. And then that's what brought me into gaming. A long answer to you.
No, that was an unbelievable story.
And now you're here. So you said something earlier. I'm going to circle back on it because I was listening to the story. But you said, hey, it's hard to know when to exit. So you've exited a few things. What, like, for people that are out there right now, seems like a hot opportunity for a lot of M&A. Like, how did you know? I mean, the first one you said, hey, it's just almost an offer I can't refuse. But after that, you had a bankroll to support your personal life. Like, what makes you know now's the time?
So obviously the money matters.
For
probably,
sure.
that's the score. So, for me, it's every single company that I've had, I still have a passion for. Like, I love the people, and we've, to this day, I think if I went back to that, state, and we would have a beer together, and it would be awesome. It's more about timing and where you're at in life, and what does the next phase of this business look like, and do you want to do it? Like, if it became a situation where I could sharpen pencils every day and then just kind of do it, I'm not really interested in being that. I just more competitive than that. I'm like more of a builder as it relates to that. And then the offer was, for me, it was like solid. I was saying like, hey.
I get it. No, I get that. I think, because we're talking, it was our first one, right, starting up. So I think there's always challenges, and there's always like, you guys know what you're doing? It's like, probably not, but we're doing it, right? We're walking the road every day. Yeah, right? Like,
we walk in here every day. We say that we feel like today's the first day we're getting started because we have hey, this is the base, and now we got to go.
And now we're keeping going. Yeah, no, it's interesting.
No, but so you have this vision, right?
Yeah, for sure.
And then you never build, and I say this, but obviously there would be others that would probably spin it a little bit different, but you don't build a business to sell it.
Right.
Yeah.
You just build a successful business. I always love when people say, like, what are you doing? Are you trying to go public? Are you trying to build it to sell? And like,
they ask us that already.
Why would you?
It's so true.
They ask us already. What are you doing?
You'll get that all the time, and it's like, don't do that.
Yeah.
Just build a great business. Mm-hmm. And then when it's time to sell, obviously there's financial people that can help you prepare your
all
financial statements
and everything.
To where it's like, hey, people really care about EBITDA this year. Yeah. Let's move everything onto the balance sheet. Everybody really cares about this. Let's do that. And so depending on the buyer, if it's a strategic, if it's private equity, it's a sexy time right now to sell because there's a lot of sideline money out there for companies in the right space. It's not for everybody. It's not like it's just out there and just waiting to write a check. It seems like it. It sounds like it. But it's still, there's still so much semantics to raising money, selling a business.
Yeah, it's
selling the dream of the business. So I had a investor ask me why I was doing what I was doing, why we were doing it. Like, what do you want out of it? And I said to him, I want to be able to impact an entire industry. Like, if you can make an impact on an entire industry, like, that's really cool because I love the gaming industry. And if I can make an impact that changes it, that would be wild. And he goes, that's the wrong answer. I said, well, what do you mean that's the wrong answer? He's like, you do it for money. You're doing it to make money. I said, if I impact an entire industry, you don't think I'm going to make money?
Couple pennies in the hat there. Yeah, exactly.
It's just wild.
Well, I got to say, I mean, not to downplay his comment, but it's never that. It's never to make money.
Yeah.
That's as a result.
I agree.
Like, I love the personal why stuff, and that's my, my personal why is basically what you just said. It's I'm looking to have an impact on, either personally or professionally on as many people as I can. Yeah. That's why our products are called Impact.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that.
Interesting.
Yeah, this is, so for me, and it's great when you can tie your personal or life kind of goals into it. Yeah. And that's what builds culture. And then if you go into a company that already has an established culture, that's where it becomes a little hard, right?
Yeah.
You might have to change just because
the whole thing. Yeah.
You might, and people might need to leave, or new people might need to come in because, culture is so imperative. The only way to get a 10x return on your investment is through people. Like the only way. It's going to be people that give you that return. And so you build a business. Like we want to impact, like we do a lot in tribes, right? So tribal nation. These tribes, these facilities probably were 100% of their economic development for some of them. Yeah, wow. If they didn't have those, they wouldn't have education, they wouldn't have healthcare, like standalone kind of stuff. These built that up. And the better we do, the more they do for themselves. Right. And it expands beyond that. Like we all serve communities. So I want our team, we have a program called Beyond the Game. Because everybody says, hey, it's in the game. It's all about the game. It's the game, the math. Right. But I feel like it's beyond the game. It's how we are and who we are as a company, as people. And then, I want to serve others with our successes. And so, and it's amazing how the employees kind of gathered around that. Yeah. And they're doing things and they're team building and they're doing their version of philanthropy and all those other things. And I think it's, and again, we're a smaller company in this space, but with big dreams, you know, but you can't do it in a microwave, right? No. And like the music business, nobody knows what the next hit record's going to be. But in gaming, if you get a hit record, right, you can
make a big impact.
Change your fate.
Yeah, change your fate. But along the way, you just keep grinding and do this next thing and shorten your windows of plans. Have the 5 year, have the 3 year, have the 1 year. But, manage, I feel like manage our business inside of a tighter window so people can celebrate wins, especially through the pandemic.
Yeah, right.
Right? I mean, who knew? I've never been through one.
Me neither.
Yeah. So beyond the game.
Beyond the game is
which is maybe the strategy of how you diversify yourself from other big manufacturers. What are you guys looking at getting into to kind of separate yourself from the math? We'll call it. Because I heard something earlier, which I'm like, that's a good idea. And if you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, let's take it offline. I want to hear what it is.
We don't even need to take it offline. It's
was it one of their ideas?
Yeah. It's the coin pusher.
Oh, that's an interesting
one. That's my baby.
Is it?
That is brilliant. When I worked on cruise ships, we had coin pushers back in the old day in operation. It was always the biggest win per unit.
So this is the game where there's quarters hanging, and then you put the quarter in, and if it bumps over, you can keep it.
Yeah, fucking day on those things, dude.
Really?
Go to Dave & Buster's.
Yeah, right.
I mean, that's the closest thing you'll ever see to a slot machine. Someone looming around, they're waiting for that person to get off. They're like, how many credits do they have on their power card?
Yeah, right.
And they're like, that thing's going to go, I would have had that. They got the Star Trek card. And you're I get it.
Yeah.
I had all the cards, and then I'm like, what are these worth? They're like, nothing. I'm like,
but you won them,
sir. I just spent $100 getting Star Wars cards that mean nothing. All right, I got to get the next one.
Yeah, jeez.
So, that game in the amusement world also has been one of the most successful games in, over time.
Yeah.
And so, I ended up patenting it and saying there's so much, we see the slot machines that emulate a coin growth in a bowl or whatever. Yeah, we know it's 8 versions of that, right? And that doesn't mean anything. I thought it would be amazing. And we also know the theory of partial wins. And as I played a slot machine or 2 or 3 or thousands.
Ding, ding, ding. You're like, less than my original bet.
Yeah, exactly.
You're losing, right? And they make sounds, and you kind of get over it. Once if you play enough, you're over it. You're like, I don't care. But nobody ever, in coins, you want to hear those coins fall.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
When you're playing those coins, you want to hear it. And you can't tell if 1 coin fell or 50 coins fell. You look at the ticket dispenser.
Yeah, yeah.
You're like, 2 tickets? That sounded like 80 coins
like
fell.
A mountain just avalanched here, yeah.
And then all of a sudden something sounds smaller, and then the ticket thing keeps on dispensing. And you're like, but that's almost that pheromone, that sonification of that noise. Is like, so that's the kind of the roundabout way, and I've always been high on that.
Yeah.
And feeling like that feature is, and it's not been done before, especially in Class 2, but And people have had it as a bonus round or something, it's more, and I don't want to say gimmicky, but it's not the same concept.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But you can take so many concepts into that, right? You can take must hit buys, you can take all this stuff in there because you drop that stuff on the coin deck.
Yeah. You can put even like loaded
closer.
player cards or like loaded free play or wow.
Yeah, that's wild.
I can't wait to see it.
I can't wait to show it to you.
It's,
how far away are we on this?
Not far.
It's like a NIGA show debut kind of thing, or what are we looking at?
It will be NIGA for sure. Yeah.
Awesome. Did I mess up by talking about that? By the way, like, is this
Laura
like
hasn't kicked the door down, so I think we're probably somewhat okay.
Yeah, Laura might be say you might edit that out. You know what game I really like is the
Impact 49 coming to a casino near you.
So yeah, but Impact 49.
Yeah.
There's so much parity in cabinets, although like there's other manufacturers that have, gone big and done a bunch of stuff, but I find a lot of parity in the cabinets. Our particular cabinet is very flexible, so we can, Impact 49 is true. We're coming out with the 49, which it's beautiful, I think.
Yeah.
And whether it's a J curve screen or whatever, it's more monitor technology than anything else. And I'm certain others are going to invent. But the thing I love about this industry is in 25 years from now, I believe that people are still going to be pushing buttons.
For sure.
Because we live in a real world. You want to go, and that experience of being at a casino and pushing those buttons and hearing those wins is different than mobile. I spent a lot of time between 2010 and 2020 let's say 2010 to 2015 in mobile space. And I invested in a lot of mobile type, different things. And, there's definitely, a huge, and it's just getting richer and richer and more identifiable.
Yeah, right.
The value of mobile, right? It's the butterfly net to capture data, to, we always take it with us everywhere we go. Yes. And I would always say, if I lost my son at the mall, I'd be like, he's going to come back. But if I lost my phone at the mall, I'd freak out.
Exactly.
I'd freak out.
Well, it's scary now because like we start doing some different digital advertising to promote the business, and they go, okay, so the company we're working with, they go, so we can pull a list of all people that have been in or out of a Vegas casino in the last 30 days, and we can target their device specifically with your ad. You go, wait, what? Like, so if you just went to dinner at Cosmo or pick your casino and your phone entered, your phone now has left, that company now knows that you are casino interested. Right. And so then we get to go, we want to send them a MaxBet thing. Yeah, no problem. And they'll just pop up on their phone the next, as they're scrolling through, Facebook or Instagram, whatever platform you want to buy on. And it's like,
the more you can get to the relationship through that device.
Mm-hmm.
You can attract through that, and you got to play that fine line of spam, right? But you're really looking for information. And if I care about what you're offering, I'm going to give you more information.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For real. Like if Delta really took time to get to know me better, I'd be like, what can I tell you? I'll give you a free flight if you tell me more, right? It's that fair exchange of value we always hear about. But it's so true. And, when you're using devices like that, find a way to get to know your customers better. It's quality versus quantity. And then they'll tell you more because they're interested in what you do, as long as you treat that with respect, right?
Yeah.
You don't overdo it.
Yep.
And it's hard today. We still are in a world that is hard to differentiate between, trustworthiness and not trustworthiness, right?
Yep.
So, I learned a ton from that world, and Eclipse right now is pretty much focused on what we do and what we do really well. I think that says a lot about a business in general. You don't try to take on too much.
Yeah.
Right. We know that if we get a hit, if we get a great game, it'll move us into other markets because people would want to have it.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's pretty straightforward how I do it. And I love this industry for that reason too, is just you build games and you place games.
Yeah.
And people play them, and then you try to get better games, and it's just
that was going to be my follow-up question to that is, are you guys looking at in the online space at all, digital?
We're always looking at it because, we understand how it's not a flip switch kind of thing. It costs a lot of money. The acquisition costs of customers are big, but of course we're constantly looking at it. And we just have to find out when it's right. I think it probably has a path for all of us in the manufacturing world. Everybody has a path for it. If you have a hit game on a casino floor, there's a lot of onlines that would love to have that. So it's kind of like the when is more important to me. I still have a lot of work to do in terms of continue to advance, create Class 2 content. Yeah. Class 3 content's relevant, right? I mean, there's markets that are ripe for Class 3 right now that have been kind of talking about us and asking us to get in, and I just want to do it when we know we can deliver what the client experience is.
Yeah.
You know, and that's I'm not impatient.
Yeah, the coin pusher blows my mind in Class 2. It's like you got a bunch of like bingo balls bouncing coins across the thing.
It's like, right now, that's the hard thing.
That's the secret sauce. We'll talk about that offline.
Yeah, no.
Right. But I mean, obviously, Class 3, it's you know, we kind of did the version for both, but Class 2 makes it a little more difficult.
Yeah.
And but the advancement of Class 2 over the last 20 years,
that's unbelievable.
Yeah,
you're not even daubing anymore. Not up front. I mean, you're playing. You hit the button, and the daub takes place internally now, and off you go. Right. But
yeah.
Used to be you have to hit it, wait, hit it again, and then you get your spin. Right.
Some places you had the double daub.
Yeah, double. Yeah, exactly.
Or you had to. You know, it's becoming closer and closer to Class 3. So you know, I feel like we were able to work inside the framework of Class 2 to get this done and make it a very fun experience. And we've got a couple versions coming out that I think will be a blast. You know, we call it our arcade series because I think there's a lot of other games that we're familiar with that could be kind of fun, right?
Nice. I was at Circle last night, and they had the claws. I mean, they had these,
really?
and the claws were packed, man. There were people waiting to get on the claw machines.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
It's good play that.
These arcade games are... Is this scalable to Class 3, by the way? The quick part, like, are you ready to launch in Class 3 when this takes shape? Because I feel like you're on to something here.
Yeah. No, we're ready to launch.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been a work in process. I've been, you know, so I did between 2010 and 2015, I invested a lot in like sports and entertainment is my thing. That's what I like. If I stick to that, if I go to energy, I lose big.
Yeah, right.
If I stick to the things that I know, sports and entertainment, I'm on. I get it. So I did a lot in the bowling world.
Yeah.
And so we made
You're in the Hall of Fame, right?
Well,
come on, buddy. Don't be shy.
I'm on the board.
Oh, you're the board of the Hall of Fame. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, you remember the Hall of Fame.
I am the Hall of Fame, sir.
As it turns out.
So the industry of bowling, the Hall of Fame, and they've been, it's a lot like the casino world where it's super parochial. You know, it's like friends. Yeah. Everybody is, you know, everybody wants people to win. And, you know, there's only two manufacturers in that world. So you can never have like a center right here and a center right here. Well, I was part of the team that bought Brunswick.
Insane.
Yeah. So we bought in 2000, I think it was 13, somewhere around there. But serving bowling, became a student of bowling, and people don't realize, I mean, that's the largest sport in the world. 154 countries, 10-pin bowl. And it's the same language.
That's wild.
I'm talking about like Djibouti, Africa. You know, it's like a
good old Djibouti.
Capital of Djibouti is Djibouti, in case you were wondering. Yeah, that's wow. Yeah,
Mike, you have a license plate for Joe Booty right there.
Yeah, exactly.
But it was, you know, but it's family fun centers.
Yeah.
Right, and amusement is a big deal in bowling centers. And, you know, we have, I'm invested in a chain of centers. There's like 19 of them now, but that's where I get some of my data on where and what age group is playing those. So it's not all like the kids might be playing the Tornado and, you know, the other games, the Big Bass Wheel and stuff like that. But there's a lot of games that are adults in there that are trying to figure out how to play. So there has to be a relevance to that.
Yeah. That's wild.
It is wild.
Well, then you also have I have a constant development arm because the industry that does the coin pushers, there's a patent on the closed loop system. It's a brilliant thing that's been out there. But they keep coming up with things like Star Trek and SpongeBob and whatever. And I might have to come up with Sponge Bill or whatever, my budget. But hey, do that. Let's do that one.
Yeah, right.
Star Trek.
Quick Star, whatever. Yeah, that's funny.
Quick Rich.
So it's basically that game. You coin in you play in like a slot machine. Then you just play the game, and then I think if it's what I was looking at, it just drops you like a potentially prepaid Tito or something. Because you're not just going to win like $2.75 because you dropped whatever that is 11 quarters, right? You're going to win real gambling prizes like you would on a
For our game?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, on our game, it's digital coin pusher, but we use, we're using the physics of real coins.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then you can almost emulate the exact experience of a coin pusher. So that when they're really hanging off the edge, they're about to fall.
Interesting.
And then you can drop all kinds of fun stuff. ×2, ×5. You can drop your multipliers
Yeah.
on there.
That's insane. You
And
can do
then
the grands,
free games
the
or
grand
something, yeah.
jackpots. You could do, and that's in the back corner.
Yeah. And I think if you
wild,
can give
bro.
people the feeling of winning, even though they don't win, sounds right.
Yeah.
But it's like in coin pushing, when you get the bonus, all of a sudden you're playing coin pushing,
Yeah.
you get a bonus, you're like, hey, come on, baby. And then all of a sudden all these coins drop and nothing comes out. But it sure was fun.
Yeah, right.
Right. And I think, that just, so even if you hit a wheel, but the wheel bonus is just going to drop a bunch of coins.
Yeah.
And then you're hoping that something falls off and 100 coins drop on, come on, you expect something big to happen. But if it doesn't, you still would rather have that happen. And you just celebrated.
Genius, dude. It's genius.
It's celebrating, we always teach people to celebrate losing, right?
Right,
I mean, and that's kind of, a great experience in this game. I felt like you can deliver that. It can deliver also a lot of things. I'm a big proponent on emotions, like driving emotions in play.
Yeah.
If you can, make people cry or laugh or get, have to take a Xanax or whatever, whatever they need.
You're too fired up right now, sir. Chill out.
That's awesome. But I believe in everything has purpose and intention are two words that we use all the time in our company. And it's not just in what we do and everything we do at the company, but in our game design. So I want to know, like, the people are telling me, like, why did you do that? You know, I might not get into the color of fuchsia, but I mean, I'll get into like why that character.
Right.
So again, I love Eclipse. It's this little, I've got involved in it 4 years ago, I believe now. It's not quite 4 years, but it's coming up on 4 years. And
Well, I was going to ask you, as you mentioned earlier, sometimes when you come into a new biz, you got to change the culture. So was that your experience when you came in?
100%.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
And nothing matters.
Yeah, right.
Nothing matters, meaning like you come up with the 3 to 5 things. And I would say this to any entrepreneur, you come up with the 3 to 5 things that only matter. Everything else is noise. Mm-hmm. And more noise can come into that, but you just execute on those 3 to 5 things. And so for me, I come in there and it was a different culture, right?
Yeah.
There was the predecessors and there was a history. And I always love this business. I mean, a lot of businesses cannot go out of business in this industry. It's crazy, but they can just sustain. They got 700 games out in the field and they're earning.
It's just paying your bills. Yeah, exactly.
So, but if you want to grow this kind of business, then it's a different strategy. And so we want to grow this business. And so it was definitely a culture that was before. You got to build a culture off of trust and then, and so on and so forth. So it came in there was really identifiable things that needed to change. And that's all that mattered. The rest of the stuff that everybody's working on, awesome. Yeah. Just come to work, do those things, but we're going to get these things right. And leadership is always the big deal.
Yep.
And so I had, I am so proud to be a part of like the leadership team that's at Eclipse. They're, great people, many from outside the industry.
Interesting.
That just had a really keen skill set.
Yeah.
You
just picked up Laura. That's a steal.
Laura's awesome.
Are you kidding me?
funny.
Oh, I loved it. Yeah, she's wonderful. And then, we've got Rob Vistentainer was running global operations for NCR. And an ATM machine is a slot machine with a different cabinet. I mean, the same vendors. And think about how much he had to stockpile to make quarters in that world.
Yeah, right.
And so now who would you want to have when there's a supply chain issue than a guy like that?
That knows the whole grind. Yeah,
And then Brennan Lawrence, he and I worked together back when he was at, not at the same company, but we worked alongside each other when he was at Scientific Games. And then Steve Slotwinski came from WMS, had great experience. Did you know him?
I don't know him.
But you love the name.
I love the name. So we're connected like on LinkedIn. Like I see you post some stuff, and so it's great. But every time I read it, I go, "What a great profile name!" Right? So like I'm like, this guy Slotwinski. Like how bad? He's Polish apparently.
You're
That's what
be
I love.
naming.
Well, I'm like, what a great name. And so then even just earlier, Brennan was like, "Yeah, Slotwinski's with us," and I go, "Wait, that's his name?" Yeah, that's his real name. I go, he's doing what he was born for, right? Like working in gaming and developing games. That's where he was in. So yeah, I don't know him, but
I feel like it's cool to like kind of understand your story now more about Eclipse, because I'm thinking about 4 years is not a long time. And when we look at the pandemic, and I do not want to talk about the pandemic, I'm so sick of talking about it, but you had 2.5 years where you didn't really get to drive the car because it was kind of just, what do we do? Yeah. And you had a month, like a year to go and be like, this is our culture, this is what we need to start working on, done. But now we're kind of back up running, and so now you really get your feet wet and
see what that baby can do. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
So like you said, I mean, it's not fun to talk about that because, and a lot of people talk about the one thing I can say about it though, is it was an amazing time because it gave us the chance to catch up.
Fair enough.
I got to build it. Like, when else could I hit the pause button and say, hey, we got a lot of work to do?
Yeah.
All of a sudden, oh my goodness, I can catch up. I can go hire these people that I really wanted to get and to work with. And, again, it's just they knew what to do. I just followed their lead during that time. But, when you come out of it having, and as you know, it's so hard to find great people these days because, the world, it's a more expensive world now. And it's very competitive. We have an awesome team. And I could name every one of the staff.
Yeah.
But the culture is real. The beyond the game culture, and that's really a culture. If I'd love you guys to visit our place one day. It's a great facility. It's a lot of fun. I mean, we like to have fun. My criteria isn't just in business and life right now is work with people I want to work with, have fun doing it, make money because it recycles the process.
Yeah, right.
But I have to do that. If people are pulling your gravity sideways, I mean, right?
Yeah,
I mean, it's just, I think most of us subscribe to that. We know if we apply ourselves, but if you come from a big company and you come to a small company, you have to bring it.
Yeah, right.
I always say all it takes is everything you got. That's it. That's
exactly. That's a great quote.
But it's true. And people that come from big companies, you got to make sure that they'll relate and then know what it takes to apply themselves in a company like ours. And then, the next 3 years, I feel, very strong about the potential that we have. I feel really good right now about the supply we have because, of the people that put together the strategy to get through a supply chain issue.
Yeah, right.
And, it's a pretty cool little, I love Eclipse. It's great business and, I'm just happy. But we had, leadership, engineering, new platform, everything. You're faced with everything. You pull the ripcord and you say, let's do it.
Yeah.
And then you celebrate the small wins.
Yeah, for sure.
And it almost, you don't want to talk about turnover, but it takes that because it's a benefit for the person that was there that, maybe a better culture for them is somewhere else. But it took, almost a full overhaul. Last year we grew substantially in terms of employee count.
Yeah, wow.
And I love that about being an entrepreneur over the last 30 years. I mean, how many employees I've had, and I care, and I want them to get out of this company everything they can, and I want to be an employer, a great employer. So hopefully they see that in us and in me as well. But
it's a great story.
It's awesome. Yeah.
Phenomenal.
Yeah, unbelievable.
I was going to say, I can't wait to hire a facilities manager because I am tired of painting and
sweeping. What's funny is that's not even close to the top of the list, right? So it's
no, it's not. I'll be sweeping for years. Buddy,
you and me. That's it.
So we're kind of past the time, but this has been an unbelievable podcast. I heard you may or may not like to partake in gambling, and I think it's super important that you're a CEO of a gambling company and you enjoy it. And so my question to you, and I'm guessing you probably like sports betting because we talked about sports a little bit. What's your favorite slot machine to play? Can I ask that?
You can ask. You're sitting there.
I mean, you don't have to say your game to pump your company. Like if you're going out to pump a game,
or is it slots? Like if you're going to the casino,
table games,
tables,
craps,
like what's
maybe.
your game?
No, I play slots.
Yeah.
And everybody knows. Caesar knows, Wynn knows, everybody knows. And I played a lot of slot machines.
I love it.
I promise you.
I believe you. And I love that you're honest about it. We gamble.
And and I have some great, there is a couple, the hold and respin games are great.
Yeah.
I mean, that was a killer idea and it's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And, so that's probably, one of my go-tos.
That style of game.
Yeah, there's a couple ones that I call my ATM machines that I just go over there when I need to just pop quickly.
Quick reload.
And then, yeah. And I'll just pound it to try to get the math right. Not that you can time it, but, and it's always funny because I've had some enormous wins and that's what makes you come back, right?
Yeah.
Especially when you're down like to a part that you're like, oh, that stinks.
You have some you have some losing streaks there, and you're like, am I going to get back on this damn horse?
Yeah, I'm like, calling my wife, hey, honey, put the kids in public school, please.
Can we
No, I'm just kidding.
cancel the Amazon orders? Yeah, exactly.
No, just kidding. But I love it. And I love the adrenaline of it, but I like pushing buttons. I played cards.
Yeah.
I've been in poker, like the World Series of Poker kind of things.
And
I've done all that. And then I felt like it just took a lot of time.
Yeah.
Like if I was at a casino and it's a little more, even though slots can be antisocial.
Yeah.
But whenever I bring people around, if we team play or something like that, that they're not common slot players, you can show them a fun, right? You can show them how it's fun, and you can show them the anticipation of the win and things like that. But I have to say the hold and respin. I'll always play almost every game that's out there just to kind of get a feel what's out, what's new, that kind of thing. Yep. But if I'm gonna like cozy up to a game, it's gonna be something that I'm familiar with, the math, and that I know kind of what I feel is the cycle.
Yeah, right.
So what we think.
Yeah, what we think.
No, this thing's about to hit. Trust me.
Yeah, right.
$2,000 later. Well, maybe we'll go to the actual ATM machine.
I have trusted you, and it's worked out exactly like you said. Yeah.
No, and you got to stick to it, right? I mean, I don't want the next guy to get all my money or the next girl.
That's the hardest part.
We've done a lot of these interviews, and Mike will probably agree with me. Like, thank you for being honest. Like, you literally didn't hold back any of that, and that's our motto. Like, we gamble.
Yeah, that's it.
We're gamblers.
That's what
we're in the industry, man. There's no reason to be like, oh, I don't know. I don't really gamble. Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do.
Well, the
I've
other
been
side
out
of
with
it
you
is
till
like
3 in the
depending
morning.
on what you do, like not gambling in this business is almost like, well, what are you doing here?
Yeah.
Like, if you're not a gambler, like, what are you doing? Like, I get if legally you can't gamble, fine, but like generally speaking, it's like the gamblers are it's what makes the gambling industry better, right? Like, I don't want somebody that doesn't know about casino games
can't be shamed
designing
about
a casino
gambling
or
and being
designing the
into
next game.
gambling.
Yeah. So
no, and it's, I don't. It's not going to change my life. You know what I mean?
Right,
it's not like I'm doing.
Well, you're responsible.
Yeah,
for sure. Yeah.
Yes,
it's
please
like,
gamble responsibly.
Right. It's like it is my. It's such a. You like to say relaxing, but it can be anticipating and not so relaxing at times. But I do, and I'm not at home on an app.
Yeah, I got you.
I'm not doing a lot of sports betting like that. Yeah. I'll go. I like the ponies. I like going to the horse races, and I've had some great horse race stories. I don't know if you guys remember Charismatic.
A horse?
Yeah, that he almost won the triple, and then he broke his leg at the Belmont.
Yeah, that's
and then
right. That was just recently.
It was a while back.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, it was in the 90s.
Oh, so then I'm definitely thinking of a different.
Charismatic. But I had picked the triple, but in line, I moved the win from Charismatic to a horse called Steven Get Even.
Okay. Because why wouldn't you?
Because the little girl goes, Dad, I like Steven Get Even. I heard her say that, but I had Charismatic in my triple. And then we go up there, and I change it in line, and my wife was with me, and I was like, what do you think, Charismatic? And she's a charismatic, beautiful, charismatic person. Yeah. So I was like, you're going to say Charismatic? She goes, let's go Steven Get Even, because she said that. Yeah. So the horse race goes off. I hit the triple. There's a lady sitting next to me. She's like, oh, my gosh, you hit the triple. I've been here 40 years. I've never seen anybody hit the triple. And that's a 36-1 that won. Oh, wow. Yeah. So it was a big deal.
Yeah. Jeez.
And
okay,
I was
thanks,
like,
kid.
No, I was like, I'm so mad.
Oh, what?
I'm so mad right now because I put Steven Get Even on my quad. So that paid $42,000 to one. Oh wow! And I put $120 on it.
Yeah, that's a big difference. Just so we're all clear, everybody listening.
Yeah, that's big. Yeah.
36-1 to 4,601.
And so I didn't win, but I could have, and so that's always a heartbreaker.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
That's a good gambling loss story.
No, we all have
more than we probably want to admit.
That's funny.
I've been like 24.
That was my first gambling story. Was my ex-girlfriend's dad raised racehorses, and I went down to the Palms. I put 100 on their horse. He came in second, but I put it on just to win. And the old dude next to me goes, "Son, you're happy that horse didn't come. I said, well, he's like, my first horse won, and I've been here for 40 years.
I never left.
Little does he know.
Yeah.
Here I am, sir.
Now you've hit all the casino games.
Yeah.
That's your
I
horse.
invested in a horse.
Yeah.
It was probably a hoof, right? I mean, it was going to run in the Derby, and I swear this horse must have been named Boy George. I mean, it was like a cow dressed like a horse. This thing didn't even finish the race.
Man, yeah.
I was like, oh,
You're
great.
going backward.
Yeah, what are you
this
doing here,
is
bud?
like, this was the worst investment of my life. But you got to sit in the winner's circle, or you got to do whatever you got to do, and I never. Anyways, I appreciate your time. Yeah, there's so much,
Cool,
fun.
cool pod, man. This has been great.
So before we let you out of here, we always ask everybody, who would you challenge to sit in your seat for a future episode? Like we do a little call out program. We say, look, we don't know all the interesting people.
Doesn't have to be gaming.
Doesn't have to be gaming. Just anything fun would be cool. Just like, it's somebody that would talk a little bit about gambling. So,
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, who do you think would make for a future guest? That'd be pretty cool.
That's a good question. I think it would be fun. Have you had Conley on?
John? No, we've been texting.
He's been called
so that'd
out
be fun. Yeah, we should
14
do
times.
Twice now. This is 2, not 14. Well, offline, but like, yeah, all right, perfect, done.
I've known him a long time
Double
in the
dip on
industry.
Conley. Yeah.
Back at Bally, and we had some fun international trips together.
That's like if John wrote a book, the subtitle of the book would be "Fun International Trips Together." Like that was his. Me too. Like I'm sitting there. I met him in a cab in Colombia. Like he was. Yeah, we were at the trade show, and he goes, "Hey, big guy, you're coming with me." I go, "Where are we going?" He goes,
in case
you're
shit
coming with me."
pops
I was like,
up.
"Oh, okay." So we sat in the cab together, and he was mostly on the phone, but we started chatting about this and that, and that's just get to know the guy because traffic was brutal. So a 20-minute cab ride was like an hour and a half, and then he
he's a
hired
good
me, and
guy.
I worked for him for almost a decade. And
Oh, you did?
Yeah, so I know John really well. So yeah.
Yeah, so John's a great guy. And interesting, maybe outside the box would be like Falcone. I don't know if he's still in the business.
Oh,
or not,
he is.
but
Where'd he go? He was with
He's a fun one.
Sightline. Is that right? No, he was out there
We
somewhere.
could get him silent.
fun.
Yeah.
He's he was with Bear Stearns,
He'll
I
teach
think,
us,
a
yeah.
long time ago, and then obviously with the Fertitas.
Yeah, stations, and he's a good math guy, so he could teach us a little bit about all the math.
He was just always a
I'm good at
fun.
math. Come on.
different kind of math.
1 + 1. That's
Nice.
2, right?
Well, that's awesome. Well, it's been fun. Thanks for your time and
Appreciate you
spending
guys having
the
me.
hour with us. Yeah,
been
absolutely. This is a good
unbelievable.
time. So,
We'll do part 2 because we missed a bunch.
Let's do it when the coin
I
push
need to hear
comes out.
more. Yeah,
Yeah,
we got to see
next-
what the coin pusher.
Yeah.
next time you come back, we'll do it again. It's fun.
Rock
It's
and roll.
fully patented, and nobody's allowed to.
Good
ever
luck,
do
boys.
Anything.
Awesome. Thanks, Tim.